volunteers. They didn't know they were volunteers until this morning, but I think they do a pretty good job. May I introduce to you Fred? Can you help me? Can you help me? Adrian, Jeff, Cheryl, and Tracy. Tracy is the other half of Mark. Where are you, Mark? I can't see you. Mark over there. So she's going to help us with some advice how to become a property insider and how the secrets are to become a good investor. So whatever that means to you guys, I have a couple of interesting questions which you haven't heard yet, so I didn't tell them what I'm going to ask them. And I will be starting with my first question of what do you think makes a good investor? So Adrian, what would you think makes a good investor? Microphone, sorry.
Through my experience, I would say basically education, which the club provides. It's always there for you. As a property mentor, if I don't know anything, I'll always go up the line. If the BM doesn't know it, go up to Kevin. So there's always there. Education,
always somebody
support.
to help you. Is that making a good investor? To have resources to do your own research, isn't that what makes us a good investor?
The club has all the tools and resources
Correct,
to provide. If any of the members require anything, it just makes life so much easier.
So how did you learn to become an investor, Jeff? How did you learn to become an investor?
How did we learn? We nearly fell into that trap of the two-tier lenders.
Just your microphone is just
Okay. Yeah, look, we nearly fell into that trap of going down the Gold Coast and getting hooked by the two-tier investors. Fortunately for me, I had a good friend who was actually a broker with the club, or associated with the club through the banking industry, and he warned us. He said, look, if you're really, really interested in property, and we were, because we knew super wasn't going to cut it, he introduced us to the club. And you look at the wealth of resources the club's got. They've got a network of brokers, they've got the know-how to do it. You've got researchers that put all those hours of work in to come up with low-risk areas to buy, because you look at most amateur investors where we were, we think we know better, but a cheap deal is not necessarily a good deal, is it?
Exactly.
For most investors, that's why they come here.
I like that. I think that's the best quote of this question. So how do you learn? How does a normal person learn to become an investor? You watch television, you watch some shows, you go to some free workshops, which are not always free. Tracy, how did you learn to invest? What was your journey?
Trial and error. Probably not going back too far, but first property when I was 19 in Browns Plains in Brisbane.
19. That is pretty early in the game.
So
you were 19 and you had some education from mum and dad. But everybody else, I guess, you read it in a paper, you hear that you can get wealthy with property, and then what you do. How did you do it, Fred?
Well, I guess
Is like most people, we were getting letters from our bank saying, your interest-only period's coming to an end, and for us, we bought our first properties with the club in 1999. So with Westpac, 15 years is it. That's the maximum, they move on, which is quite funny because one of the properties of the two we bought, they said, we can't extend that, but with the help of our club broker, the other property was accepted. So as part of that conversation, we said, we know that other members in the club get 0.8% discount.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on here? That I've had conversations with our private banker, we can't get that. And he said, we can do better than that. And he did. So in the low interest rate environment we're in now, he got us 1.5%.
Wow.
Would you believe? Which the bottom line for us, that was a tax savings of direct saving of 18 grand.
Yeah, and that was the number I was looking for, because $18,000 is a lot of money in your pocket, better worth doing something else than feeding the bank manager's salary.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was going to say the biggest tip for everyone here is to talk to your broker at least every 6 months.
And there's my Tracy coming in, because she's a broker and she's very professional and she's also an investor. So what would be your most expensive mistake you made somewhere along the line, if you did one? I don't know.
Not being prepared.
Yeah.
Missing an opportunity because I didn't have my finances in order. So that would probably be my biggest mistake. Yeah.
Because you missed out on a good deal because the finance wasn't there. So that brings me really to the last question, and there's a short one because we have about 1 minute left. What is your number one tip to become or to be a good investor? What would you say? I think, Tracy, I take your answer. Be prepared. What would you say, Fred?
Well, you need to start with education, and you need to have a goal and then have a commitment. I can tell you when I bought my first 2 investment properties, I was a frightened man, but I still had to go ahead, and I was catastrophising everything, and in the end those things didn't happen, and Linda and I are well positioned because I guess ignored the fear that I had.
But also you have a property mentor who holds your hand if it needs to be, right?
That's right, yes.
Okay. Adrian, what was your number 1 tip?
Being a sceptical person as I am, just do it and have a lot of faith in a property mentor. Find somebody that you can trust, and like somebody in the property club that's done it. Walk the walk. That's what I would suggest.
Thank you. Good answer. Jeff?
I think for us, the networking we've had through the club, property mentors and like-minded investors, you've got people who've got large portfolios. The question is, how did you do that?
Yeah.
So we were able to add to our portfolio earlier. So yeah, definitely networking.
And I think the answer is really the experience we bring to the club with all the people who have invested in different areas, different price points, in townhouses, in units, in house and land. I think the experience and the wisdom in this room, please take the opportunity in every break and try to speak to one person you don't know, because that could be the one person who gives you the most expensive not to spend tip. So thank you so much for being honest to us. I think you all got yesterday the book of tips and traps from Kevin Young, and if we haven't mentioned any mistakes we made, maybe they're in the book. So if you have a read through that, I found that very helpful. And then obviously Kevin's book, Prosperity, Prosper and Retire. I met one of my members. He actually found that book in a library in Brisbane somewhere. He read it to the end. He Googled Kevin Young and he joined the club. So if you haven't read the book, it's a good read. And thank you so much. I'll see you for the rest of the day. Thank you.